BEEX project is a no-profit foundation about visual art and photography. If you want to help us, just drop a donation on buymeacoffee.com/BerlinExplorer. So, welcome to this 50 minutes of experience. Today I'm with Rolf Müggernburg from Deutschland, Germany, no? Welcome to this podcast.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your introduction. Perfect.
Yeah. So I discovered you on lomography, and I was really interested in your pictures. I liked a lot. They're so particular in a way, and yeah, in a way, I feel like to jump in a whole past time in some ways. And yeah, I wanted to talk with you about that today. And first of all, I would like if you can introduce a bit of yourself. You can say something about yourself, and then we go on.
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much. Yeah, my name is Rolf. As you already said it, I miss out now the last name. It's so complicated. Nobody will understand. Freely translated, it means Castle of the Mosquitoes. So that people do remember. Anyway, yeah, it's you said, okay, my home, my Lomo home, there's a lot of past into it. And that is, of course, a matter of age. I'm not anymore that young as you are, so I'm 68 now. I'm a pensioner. I'm still active though, and also sometimes still working as a consultant. But of course, if you have this history, that must reflect in a, let me say, forum such as lomography. And yes, there are historical pictures as well. So I'm also looking for all my old negatives, which I'm still finding. I've traveled or moved from one continent to the other, and so I've lost a lot. But I was so happy a couple of years ago, 2-3 years ago, when we dissolved the household of my mother, of my parents. My mother has passed away in the meantime, but at that time she moved into a special care, into an old age care, and I found an old photo album where I found the prints of my first shots I did with a Diana F. Diana F is now a hip camera in lomography, you may know it. At that time it was a toy camera, and I remember well that I nerved my parents when I perhaps was 9 years old. I saw this camera in one of these catalogs where you could order stuff like clothes, toys, and what have you not. And I saw this toy camera, this green black plastic thing, and I was always fascinated as a small kid by camera. So it was an excitement to photograph and to get a nice picture or some memories of a situation just a couple of days after it, you know, after the developers did their job. And so they said, okay, no, this is not of high quality, and that is rubbish, actually, they said. But I was insisting, and I was really saying, oh, please, when you next order something, that it was a Quelle catalog or Neckermann, I don't remember. That was 50, almost 60 years ago. One has to see that. And they ordered. And they said, okay, but with the PIN money, you have to buy the films and also the development. And these photos, at least some of the prints I've found, and that is a history. 60 years ago, as a kid, I was fascinated by cameras, by the mechanics, and you see sometimes pictures of me as a kid where I had the cameras from my older siblings or from my parents around my neck, and I was always somehow that fascinated me. I don't, you can hardly describe it. And then I had this camera, and I was going out and making shots of that what I felt were good shots, right? Or at least which triggered an emotion in me. And these shots, by the way, are uploaded now on Lomography, and I was so happy to find them after all the years in a box in a basement of my parents' home. But when that is a starting point, one can say. And photography in different phases accompanied me since then, right?
Yeah. So I have the picture in front of me, so I'm watching them,
Yeah.
and
Okay, yeah.
and then it's nice to see what you want you was seeing when you was younger, and yeah, this collection is interesting, and there are several cars, and I could imagine that yeah, he was fascinated about the cars,
And
about
even today, I mean, that
yeah,
is sometimes if you look now, it's not a red thread. I would not say that it is a red thread, but sometimes I'm a car spotter as well. When I see a particular vehicle which attracts me, and I have the camera with me, which in the last 7 years, I always have a camera with me,
that's
right?
amazing. I think it's full of experience, and what I'm really curious about to ask you, it's now after several years, I mean, almost the whole life shooting pictures, okay, and yeah, as we know, it was not your main job. I think it's just a passion, and you went on with this passion, and I think, yeah, photography gave to you an opportunity in a way to go over so more deep than what you was looking, and also to research, and then to go back in your memory, in a way. And now, especially that, yeah, in a way, you have your archive, digital archive, or also even analog archive. Um, what are the road you have when you watch at your past, when you watch at your picture?
Yeah. Well, for me, I don't want only to focus on the past. For me, I think there are different phases. I started there and it developed. When I was a youngster, I received a more, let me say, a solid camera when I was 14, an Exacta 1A, not a high, expensive camera, but there I started already to be a little more creative. Yes, also to make the perfect shot, but I was never one of those photographers who were focusing on the techniques of producing a technically perfect shot. That was because all the shots I saw from other photographers were always better from a technical point of view. So I was continuing just to see things where others may have passed by and not seeing them. And very often for me, it was also to take a shot. Sometimes I had a theme, for instance, and I said, okay, I'm now going out to take shots of flowers, or to take shots of trees,
Yeah.
or to take shots of people as well. And very often I found then the results were telling me much, much more. It's a story always behind. And I was always thinking of the subject I was taking photos of, right? Till today. For me, sometimes I see something and I combine it with a small story, or at least some contemplating, if this is the right term for it. Very often combined with prosa. With poetry or with music even. There's this one photo I saw, this chopped tree, which was really, must have been a mighty tree, and I do not know why they chopped it off. But a small branch at the bottom of the tree was reaching out, and I immediately thought of this Procol Harum, maybe the progressive rock band. And you may not know them anymore. Whiter Shade of Pale was their big hit. and there was this opera of them called The Worm and the Tree. And I was immediately thinking of that. So there's, for me, photography is much more than just taking the photo and conserve memories. For me, it is telling stories. It's one big photographer, street photographer once said, I think it's Akimbiyi, he's from Nigeria, British Nigerian photographer, once said, photography is poetry with light. I think it's a very nice word in describing what photography can be. And the same is said by one of my gurus, Sebastião Sagaldo from Brasilia. You may know him as well. He had been at the brink of seeing the dark side of mankind. But it's almost a statement what he's doing, but with the addition that it is technical perfect. I'm not longing for that. And that is the beauty of lomography. You tell stories, right? You share emotions. And that is, for me, the essence of my photography. It's not only conserving history. If you look into my profile, I mean, there are a lot of new photos, and it is, for me, my recent phase. There were times where I was not creative at all. So I did family shots, I did shots on holidays, I had my automatic Canon AE1 and the Canon EOS 500, which was doing everything for me. So I just had to push the button. And that was the boring side. Those are nice shots, right? From all my holidays I did, or all my exotic travels. I was professionally, I was in development, so I've seen the world. I lived in Africa and lived in Asia, but at that time I was not that much active, by the way. Only in the last 7-8 years, again, there was this beauty of old techniques. Look at this beautiful old Kodak Retina. Maybe my parents had been shooting with, not this camera. I found it on a flea market. So I was fascinated, and I started to collect. And then my lomography phase started, and it was so, how should I word it? I found it was appealing to me, as they were not telling you, you have to obey these rules, you have to obey that regulation, you have to look at that. Of course, I have a good feeling of exposure times and aperture, but that is not the only thing I focus upon, right? Sometimes I'm a dirty shooter. I don't mind if the times it's overexposed or underexposed. Something will come out, right? And and I'm triggered by an emotional impulse. Very often I'm going out with the subject. I said, yes, that I would like to do, but I'm coming back with total different, let me say, pictures. Not always, but often.
Yeah, this is the nice point, I think, of doing photography in a way freedomly and without
Exactly. Yeah.
expectation, just using the camera as an extension of your body. No, it's just reserving a time, reserving a moment, reserving something probably you don't reserve, because you don't know then if sometimes can happen that the film doesn't give you anything. And
Yeah, that is true.
and then it's gone. But yeah,
Yeah.
it was just a moment you related to yourself, no? And this is the nice part. And yeah, during you talk, I'm also scrolling all your picture on lomography, and I have seen also, it's interesting. I think I'm watching at you that you are in a market in Malaysia, and you are pretty more younger. So then you was in the 85, 86.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's even nice to see your face from that point of view. Also even much funny because there is a woman behind you that in a way look like my mother before she died. So I don't know why, but yeah, it's a look like. And yeah, scrolling, I'm finding many point of view. Yeah, for sure. Many of these picture, I will say that they are not particularly technically good, but doesn't matter that. I mean, this is not what I think. I mean, from my point of view, I don't look for, but I'm asking to myself, okay, what you will do? I mean, how do you imagine this picture? What is the mission of this picture? Because you know, in a way, we will in a way or another leave this picture as a heritage of what was
Yeah,
our life.
yeah.
Okay? And as I'm a curator, as I'm a editor, uh, I'm always interested in asking, okay, what you will do with this big archive of picture? Where this picture will go? What do you expect this picture will do it?
I'm quite realistic. You know, there may be the one or the other shot who is extraordinary. I have some my Vietnam album. I'm in love in one of the photos that is one has to do 10,000 shots perhaps to produce one good photo, and I think that was 10. That was number 10,000, and then again it may start again. Yes, I believe that some people will say, okay, that is the life of my father, of my uncle, or whoever will look at them. And perhaps even some of my Lomo friends will say, okay, this was a good profile. I have a lively exchange with other lomographers as well. And I think most of them are in a similar, let me say, in a similar situation like me. They shoot with old cameras, and that is a beauty. It's for me that I take a thing which is 50 years old and it's still functioning, and the results are always a surprise. Sometimes they have some faults, and you have to live with these faults. I have an old camera, a Lidolf, it's called, which always it doesn't sharpen the photos. I don't get a sharp shot out of it, but for this hazy shots, for instance, these minimalistic shots, you know, of wild landscapes and just one person far away in it, or a dog or a tree, they're beautiful. They give a almost spooky image, like visual white noise, so to speak. And I still use this camera. And with this faulty shutter or whatever it is, or whatever fault is in this camera, so you can still use it. So yeah, what do I leave behind? Perhaps a lot of things will just be forgotten. I mean, that's the way it is. It's for me. I love it. It somehow it's a passion of mine. I believe that some of the shots are extraordinary. They go beyond taking a memory or conserving a memory. They are a little artistic. I believe I have a lot of good street shots, which one lomographer once said, this is the best shot I've seen outside of a book. This is my Lisbon album, for instance, from the 70s. History. I was more courageous to take shots of people. Nowadays, I'm a little more shy. The older you get, you do not want to intrude into the individuality of other people. So now, and the pandemic now forced us as well to you know, I've now taken, I think, of all trees around me, I've taken a photo in the meantime due to the pandemic situation. But it's beautiful as well. Whenever I do my walks, my bike trips, I see something else which is triggering me to push the button, so to speak. Right.
Yeah, just to go back to the question I gave to you, I was meaning, what do you think your pictures, where I mean, you know, I think in this way, in a way, the pictures are like making son and daughter. You know, it's your progeny. It's something is you, but it's out of you, and they can take them course. They can do it where else they want. And when we pass out, when we will be die, um, the picture, I mean, there are many possibilities, because in this way, for example, some pictures can go away, it can be destroyed, some others can go in the market, so we don't know that, because I ask to myself, and this is something, I mean, in a way, is in this project also. I always think about how will be so cool to have a kind of a library, a bibliothèque, so a library, but where there are no book, but there are pictures, and you can reserve a picture of every person. So that in a way or another, your picture will be not sold, I don't know, in a market of, for example, in Berlin, we have this Turkish market that they sell the picture of people passed away, and you find also a lot of good things, but they also sell the picture for a lot of money. So, and then you think, okay, but it's like it look like you did the picture, but you just found.
Yeah. No, for me, I don't want to leave behind a picture. For me, commercial, let me say, thinking, I've never had this. For me, it is this sharing with others and being, yes, then appreciated, to have this exchange with others on this. And hence, this Lomography is such a nice forum. I'm also on Flickr, by the way, which is a little smaller. And I'm not that active on that forum, because I don't want to get frittered away in different things. And I'm also with Agitate. You may have learned from that, this pulverantilistic approach. I had contributed some shots. There I'm leaving even sometimes something behind as it was published. But for me, that is not the main thing. It is, when somebody would see my portfolio, be it in print form or the negatives when they are on the Russian market somewhere or wherever. That they say, okay, this man or women or person, I think he was an emotional shooter. He saw behind all these things he took photos of, he saw more than we perhaps, but I think they realize the story behind it, right? If you take a photo of a wooden bench in the forest, what would you think if you see such a photo?
I can give you my review of portfolio, because I'm continuously scrolling the picture. I mean, there are many things that I love to watching your picture. Is even more than telling your story. You're showing some moment that I never see in my life. The curiosity is that I go through this all of fragments and frame. Now, for example, I have in front of me Sylvester 2018 in Houdorp again in New Zealand,
Netherlands,
and all these people. They are doing, I think, a challenge, a contest, and it's funny and nice in a way, because these pictures tell me something I have never seen in my life, in a place I never went in my life, in a period I was not possible for me to be there, and even if it's what you was watching, what I watch as a spectator in this case, it's for sure I don't see you. You are just the director, no, of this scene, and the only things I can do it is go through every phase is in there, no, and watching all the phases are there, and all the similarities everyone has, and you can in a way recognize that almost everyone has a nose is a bit red, and it's
so
kind
cold,
of they are burned, and this is particularly from people from north of Europe. Somehow, imagine that was not the description, that was Netherlands, and yeah, you could imagine that was England, or yeah, I mean Netherlands or Finland and so on. And so in a way or another you can recognize something, you know. And yeah, it's a kind of I mean the nice part is watching through this picture. For example, there's one is absolutely, I love it. I will love to have a print of this one. Is the one you did in Rome with the Canon AE one.
One, yeah.
Is representing the chairs of a restaurant. And for me, that I come from Naples and I was living in Rome, I before to read the description, I saw and I said, yeah, this is Rome. I said to myself,
Yeah,
this is
yeah.
Rome, because it's particularly, you know, something is part of my heritage in knowledges.
Right,
This
okay.
is what I really like, in a way, that I can discover some things. Even a picture I'm watching now of Berlin, and I think they are pretty old. There are some places like this. I think this Carry 36 is on Merindam,
Currywurst, yeah,
in
yeah.
Merindam, and now, for example, the Beer Express doesn't exist anymore.
Anymore, yeah.
Yeah, and the Curve 36 changed completely the visual part, no? And that I live here, no, I can, in a way or another, relate to that moment, but to relate also to a totally different moment in the life. And this is so, I mean, for me, it's the rich part of watching your pictures. As I said before, most of them probably technically are not following any technical issue, but yeah, I mean, who give a fuck about that? As
Yeah.
I mean, it's this is, I think the most interesting things is when you can find a technically a kind of expression is moved from a totally different side of structure of mind, no? And even this we was talking about, there are a lot of forests, there is a lot of tree, a lot, I mean.
Yeah.
And in a way it's funny because we could say watching all of them, it's a kind of watching always three, just three, no? But then it's the funny part is that if you watch really deepful to every one of them, you can see many different things
Yes.
that made them also in a way different, because you what make also difference is the way you shoot it, because different period, different way to approach it to them. And I can see that in I mean, your portfolio on lomography is a bit mixed with different period, so then
Yes.
you don't know when the period started, you don't know when the period finish, you don't know which is the most recent or not. But in a way, I can see that probably in the travel, you was much more focused to connect with the people. And even when I watch, for example, on a picture you did in Germany, you are not really focused in connection with the people, but more the focus is probably connect with yourself. And this tell me a lot about your story. I mean, this is what this picture, in a way, unconsciously showed to me.
Yeah, that is a good point you're raising here. I mean, that is, and you see that when you look at the uploads of the last 2 years, I have never been that much focusing on these, let me say, dead things to that extent, which I'm doing today. I think that is related, of course, due to the situation. You know, the only thing what you can do is have extensive talks. That is my walks, which is my hobby, so to speak, or going out with my bike and do extensive bike trips. And you always, very often, you see with all the forests, also my bike standing next to something. If you depends on which upload you have there or which album you have. And yes, it is a little me because I love to be in nature, right? And yeah, one can say yes. when you look at it, you see that this person loves to be outside, loves to be in the forest, loves to walk, and it is regardless as to whether it is a forest, because I'm obliged to stay where I am. You know, I cannot travel far at present. We have all these lockdowns and high incidences, and now it is a forest because I'm living in a forest-rich area. Right? If I were at the beach, it would be the beach, right? And if I were in the mountains, it would be the mountains. I'm pretty sure. It is a nature which attracts me there and my direct surrounding. And if you look the way how I did take these shots, they're always different, because when I'm watching right and left from the trail I'm using, the perception is always a different one. You always have a new picture, which you may not see if you have 20 in a row, which looks similar. But if you know really look into it, it's always the light is a little different. The day of the time is a little different and brings a different perspective as well. So you have the differences, and yes, perhaps the pandemic has given us this possibility to express oneself rather than to long for spectacular object or subject.
Yeah, for the ones they was not aware of that for sure. I mean, it was also probably a challenge for many. I don't know. For me, was not different than my usually life because
Yeah,
I
yeah,
work
yeah.
from the computer. So then I work at already in smart, and for me,
But
was no change. Was the
yeah,
only change was I couldn't go out when I was in Italy. I couldn't go out to I don't know, take a walk because there was a restriction. But in a way, yeah, it was also a way to live like a freak. You know, it's
yeah.
fun in a way. I
A
mean,
nerd.
I mean, in the end,
Yeah.
I will say during the pandemic, I started to think, okay, I don't have enough time to doing everything I want to do. Even if I stay in the quarantine, I do it everything. You know, I don't have the
Yeah.
time to really do it what I want. I mean, you know, like also even read all the book you want to read or watching all the picture. I mean, it's stuff
Mm,
complicated, and so then I was never not busy. You know, I was never watching at myself and think, okay, now what I have to do now. I was
mm.
always every day
Active.
a travel in a way, no?
I mean,
Uh,
I was not inactive as well, but my let me say my travel. I like traveling. And if you look at the uploads, perhaps 2018, 2017, they reflect a total different person. They reflect a person which is on tour somewhere. You know, even though I'm not then having always a camera with me as I'm in meetings and but look at my Tanzania albums from Bagamoyo, for instance. There you will see people. It's totally different. There I took the shots I love so much. To have this candid, but also sometimes if people like to be photographed, I'm not taking a photo. I'm receiving a photo. That for me is also a principle. After all these years, that you do not just take without having received it prior, right? I think taking requires receiving. And if there's no receiving, it's stealing. So I don't like this kind of, let me say, that I'm just intruding. So sometimes a photo of people who know that they're photographed and love it, in particular in Africa and Asia. I mean, that is also that what I loved. And there you will see a total different face of my, let me say, photography, so to speak, right?
yeah, yeah. It's something I think too. I mean, in a way, To steal photography, you have to do it really conscious if you want to do it.
Yes.
There are a lot of people steal the pictures, and this is probably the most percentile of people. They steal pictures, so they are not really putting something of themselves. They try to doing what others doing, and that they go on all in the moment other people doing. So they are followers of the of the system,
System.
and some others they just take them walk, and they have the camera in this case in the pocket, and when something happen in front of them is they
They
ju-
take
just
the
feel,
shot.
they just shot in the moment they feel that they are getting donated something.
Yeah,
It's like,
that is a beautiful word. That's a get donated something. That is also my attitude. Whenever I take the camera, I receive a photo. It may be a copy of, or not a copy, but it may be similar to others' photos as well. But I don't mean this stealing. I mean the stealing that
yeah,
if I do not get this donation, that is a beautiful word for it. If you do not get this donation, then it is almost like a stealing, right? So you are just intruding, you are just taking the shot, you are just taking out your camera. That is never my ethics. I'm not saying that I'm also not longing sometimes for this, let me say, spectacular shots with
yeah.
beautiful sunrise and all these kind of things when I see it from others. But when you see those I'm following or who follows me have almost even different subjects or objects which they are focusing upon, but always the same, let me say, smell in the photos like mine. And it's quite interesting to see this.
Yeah, for sure. We are also what we want to get in touch with, and for sure, if people are too much away from what we think, what we see, what we perceive, what is our state of
Yeah,
mind, our philosophy. For sure, we are not interested in that one. Even if they can produce content, or in this case, photography, they are much wonderful. But yeah, in this case, for example, I will say, I'm not, for example, a really fan of Steve McCurry, but I totally love Sebastião Salgado. And
yeah, me too. Yeah,
the
that is
difference
also,
is the
yeah,
difference
yeah,
is in the details. Steve McCurry doing a lot of work for money, and Sebastião Salgado, he do it for money, but he do it for more for a philosophy that I'm sure
yes,
that even if he will not get money, he will continue to do it, and that
yes,
this is the
yeah, yeah.
bit of differences between the two one, or even are also, for example, I love absolutely the work of Deido Moriyama, and instead of Enrique Tribasson, because yeah, Enrique Tribasson was a nice philosopher in a way, but really a good marketer. And Data Moriyama is just for me philosophy of life. It's just it's a pure Japanese photographer,
Photographer, yeah,
and
yeah.
just everything is based on what I have around me, and I don't have to. I can also put myself inside, but putting myself means also to, in a way, don't go over than what I can do it or what I can be.
I mean, what when you for me, Sebastião Salgado is one of the great. He's almost my guru, I would
Yeah,
say, as far as as a person is concerned. I mean, he his photos are statements. His photos is a fine fight against inhumity, against equality. And against, let me say, inhuman living conditions.
yeah,
And it's a statement. But what he said, always show respect to those people who you are taking a shot of, and take a shot even in the hardest mischief they are experiencing wherever they are in Rwanda during the genocide, or wherever he had taken photos in Angola, in Mozambique during the civil war. He always said, okay, I would like to have the photo that it appears that the person comes over nicely and respectfully. And he also said, I take a relation with whatever I shoot at, right? Be it the
Yeah,
mountain or
it's
be
the
it the
same
face.
for me.
Beautiful. Yeah,
I mean, for me,
beautiful.
it's the
Yeah.
same. I feel the same things, and yeah, when I discovered him, it was for me was a kind of things shock, cool shock, that because many things I think that other people say, but this happen also with the writer in general. But I will say, even because you mentioned the Rwanda, uh, there was in this period, yeah, in the genocide of Rwanda, there was many reporters sent there to work, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm really, for example, I started to be really passionate about curating photography from this point, from the Rwanda genocide, and getting in touch with the photographer's name Alfredo Jarre, that he was probably one of the on a million of photographers went in Rwanda, and refused himself to taking picture of that situation, because
Yeah,
was
yeah.
he said that I want not produce any images that show this terrible action of the human being, because there are stuff that we should not see, because we could get used to see that, and then to don't understand anymore the value of that. And then he worked in a project for more than 10 years about that, and there was this first picture, the eyes of Gudeta Merita, that is just the eyes of this woman he
Yes.
found in the
Yeah,
church. I don't know if you know. And then he worked on this for years, repeating in different way, in conceptual way of photography. But I will say, in the same way, for example, there was another photographer, was Gilles Perez, that in Rwanda, in the same period, he also decided to shoot as a reporter that situation. What I will say, the differences between them is for sure, yeah, one choose and the one another didn't choose to be to use the empathic way, no, to work with the dead. Um, but what, for example, GPRS has instead is another kind of sensibilities. He chose to make frame of the people that to more focus in a way or another, even on the eyes of these people, not on the body, but in what our eyes can receive from that, and in a way also disturb our, I will say, vocabulary on what is true and what is not.
yeah, yeah. Nicely put. Yeah.
Yeah. So was really nice to talk with you. I will get along, but yeah, our 50 minutes are actually 1 hour.
How do you cut it?
I will not cut. I will just.
You will just leave it. Yeah, let it flow.
I
Yeah.
have this philosophy that I write 50 minutes of experience. Then you want to listen 50 minutes. It's good, good for you. I mean, you want to
Yeah.
get along. And
Yeah.
what I like is that, yeah, you start doing 50 minutes of experience. I mean, 50 minutes of podcast. But yeah, if you like to talk with someone, get along, because there's just one occasion in your life to doing that, or
Yeah.
otherwise,
Okay. Great.
you know.
Yeah.
So,
Good.
thank you a lot for your time, for the talk. I was really appreciated for me, and if I want to advise everyone to watch the picture, because it's a jump in the stories of your stories, and even in some frames that are so funny also.
Yeah.
So thank you again, Rolf, for this occasion. I hope that we get in touch, and we can talk even more in the future.
Okay. Good. Great. Thank you very much. It was a great pleasure to talk with you as well. And yeah, I wish you success with your podcast and your continuation of this podcast. Interesting subject, and I will for sure also watch or listen to it. Let me put it like that. Okay, bye. And hope to be in contact in future as well.
Thank you for listening to this podcast, and if you want to learn more about us, you can visit the link allmylinks.com, Berlin Explorer, or our website bexproject.com. And if you want to follow us, you can always get news from Instagram on our account BEEX Project. Thank you again, and see you in the next episode.